Who does she think she is? A romance author? She's a mother. A podcast? Seriously? Another book? What episode are we even on? Here's what you really need to know. Stephanie doesn't just write stories. She invites others to tell theirs. They say everybody has a past. She thinks everyone has a story. And she wants to hear them all. This is Storytelling with Stephanie.
Welcome back to Storytelling with Stephanie. I'm joined by one of my heroes in writing. She is a fabulous romance author with the most swoon-worthy male leads, Melanie Moreland. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited, as you can tell from our chat before this podcast. I was fangirling, guys. I could not help myself. She is one of my favorite authors and definitely a comfort author. Whenever I'm having a bad day, I crack open one of her books and I feel like it's a warm hug.
Thank you. That's a big compliment, so thank you very much. I mean, you always hope when you write that your books mean something to whoever, reads them. And we tend to hear all the bad stuff and listen to the bad stuff, and we don't concentrate on the good stuff, and that's what we should do.
Absolutely. I mean, that's such good advice just for in life in general, let alone writing. And I feel like, I'm always trying to pick people's, especially authors' brains on like how to balance it all, because like you said, you kind of like if you don't mean to, but you gravitate towards reading those like bad reviews, and that's what like sticks. I was talking to somebody else on the podcast recently, and I asked them if they read the reviews, and she's like, I can't, because I only remember the bad ones. And it's poignant.
The day of a release or the few days after, you get all your usual fans reading and bloggers who have read and enjoyed the book, and you get all these great comments, and you're buoyed, and I can hardly wait to write the next book. And then you get one bad review, and that it takes you from here way down here instantly. And then I think to myself, what am I doing? I just read 75 amazing reviews and one bad one, and I shouldn't let the bad one affect me. But I think that's human nature. We tend to believe the bad over the good in a lot of things.
Absolutely.
So my PA does not allow me to go on Goodreads, because Goodreads can be quite vicious. But if there's a review there that she thinks I should read, she sends it to me. Otherwise, I try and stick with Amazon or whatever. But even then, you can get, you get 1 stars. And I hate to say it, but there is a faction of people who read who just delight in giving 1 stars. And
yes.
You can do it. It used to be on Amazon, you couldn't do it anonymously, but now you can. So, you're on your Kindle and you put customer and you hit 1 star and you go on your merry business. But everyone's entitled to an opinion, and everyone has books that they love and books that they don't. I tend to, if I don't like it, I just tend not to leave a review.
Same.
I don't. One of the things I hate the most are people who come on with a stack of books like this and then tell you why they hated every single one. If you don't like it, just move on. There's thousands of books.
Absolutely.
I don't like to make someone feel bad. Now I just sort of leave that to my PA.
Right.
And she handles it.
Well, it sounds like you have a good support system in your PA, and that's important.
I have a great team.
Yeah, that's important to.
Oh, it's very important.
Balance everything. What's the best advice that you would give, like myself or somebody who's just starting in the indie publishing industry?
I think my strongest piece of advice is to find your people. Find that small core of people that you trust. I have a beta reader who's read me for 9 years now, I think, if not more.
Wow, that's great.
I have my PA who's been with me for 7 years. I have an editor that I trust. I have an old editor from my olden days in fan fiction that still reads my stuff, and I trust her opinion. And she'll say to me, tweak this, do this. And it took me a little bit to realize no one was being critical. Nobody was being mean. They're all trying to make the book better. And when you sort of get past I think it's perfect, to, you know what, you're right. If I added this little bit, that would add more down here, or that would shape the character better. So find your people. And I know some authors have groups around them and have lots of beta readers and lots of people pre-reading their books, but I like to keep it small. And I know the people I work with. I trust them. I consider them friends, but I also consider them team members, and they always give me their honest opinion.
Right, they're not going to sugarcoat it because they're your friend.
Yes, I always laugh with Karen and say, "Oh, the book's just come back from the pre-reader. I'll open it tomorrow." And I'm young and fresh first thing in the morning. And I mean, she's never that bad, but she's brutally honest, and she's always right because she comes at it from a different angle. Whereas
Yes.
I know the characters, I know what they're thinking. I might have thought I put it on the page, but she'll be saying, you need to flesh this out because I don't understand the reaction. And then I reread it and go, well, no, I know his reaction, but she's right, the readers don't. So you have to take their criticism as it's intended, which is helpful, and that helps you grow. But I think your key team around you in this business is very important. There's so much out there, and there's so many people, and there's a lot of people that want to join you for the ride, and that's not what you want. You want people that are there continuously,
I love that.
that you can trust. And when you're having a bad day and you've chosen to go to Goodreads and you know the 1 stars, that they'll slap you around a little and
Do you
say,
have cameras
"Stop
in
it."
my house? That happens on like a weekly occurrence, and I'm like feverishly texting my friend who's my editor as well, and I'm like, oh no, I'm screenshotting like the review and showing it to her, and she's like, stay away, stay away.
Yes. They're like, stop reading it, stop. And that's when Karen will say to me, okay, yes, you have 5 1-star reviews and you have 397 5 stars. So if you really need to read something, read that. But it's like, it's going down a rabbit hole, right? You
It
read
is a
one,
rabbit hole, and then you have
and
to read
then
them all.
you suddenly just want to see all the 1 stars, and what are they all saying? So so find your team, trust them, and keep them close. That's my
I love
biggest
that.
advice.
That's such good advice, and I wish I knew that when I was going to publish, because I was outsourcing, and I was, I have my editor who's my great friend, and she's amazing, and her slogan is always like, make it make sense, like with editing and stuff like that, because like this doesn't make any sense. And so it's funny, but then I was like outsourcing for graphics and this, and I was outsourcing for and you find all these different people who, like you said, you're not sure of their intentions, and you're not sure of like how your business relationship's going to work. So I think finding the people who get you, even for cover design, it's like, how many rounds do you have to go through that in order to find? I was blessed with that, but I've heard stories from other people that it takes multiple rounds to get like that groove between the two of you.
Yes. And when you're first starting out, you have to go through that process, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you've never done this, and you have to find out their work interfaces with yours perfectly, or they just don't get you. When I first started, I had a great cover designer, and she got me, but then things change, and she moves on, I move on, and I'm very lucky with my PA, because she's also a graphic designer. So 9 times out of 10, we do the screen sharing, and we start, I see it as this, she sees it at this, and then she starts with, I don't understand all her magic. She's pulling in and she's tweaking and she's doing, and she'll be like this. And I'm like, yes. Or I'll say, no. So sometimes our covers come together literally in 10 minutes, and other times it takes longer. Now, the favorite series we outsourced to Bigfoot Creations. And she was someone that Karen had seen her drawings and loved them, and reached out to her and said, do you do book covers? And she said, I've never done a book cover. And Karen said, we really want to try. I don't like some of the hand-drawn ones, but some of them I do like. And so Karen sent me some pictures of Abby's work, and I'm like, oh, I really like that. And then we described to her what we wanted in a book cover, and I mean, she hit it out of the park.
Amazing.
Bang. She sent me this picture, and I'm like, that's the book cover.
And it was so different than anything you've ever done. So when I saw it, I was like, oh my goodness. And it makes you so excited to read. Like, it's like this resurgence of like, wow, it's like it's so different, but it's not so different where it's like out of your realm of like your branding. It's like,
Yes.
it's just like evolving in the right way, if that makes sense.
Yes, and it was she was just going to do some art cards, and then she ended up doing the cover, and then she did our overlays, and then when I decided to do another book and do My Favorite Boss, I said to Karen, there's no question we need Abby in on this. And she always reads the book, so that she can get a feel of the characters.
I love that.
She knows what I'm sort of looking for. And I'd sent her this. I'm a terrible drawer. Like, stick figures are even beyond me. But I
Same.
tried to draw a picture, and I sent it to Karen. And Karen said to me, "What the hell is this?" I said, "It's a cover." So she showed it to Abby, and all I got back from Abby is, "Are those boobs?" I said, "Yes." She's like, "Okay." So really the only thing I can identify in this whole picture is that a cat. I said, "Yes." So about 2-3 days later, Karen sends me 2 images and says she's wondering about these for the cover. And the first image, I'm like, "Oh, that's really cute." The second image, I just started to laugh, and I'm like, that's the cover. Because every time I look at it, I see Bane, I see Magnolia, and I see Hedgie, and they make me laugh. So bang on with that. And then when I decided on a third book about 3 weeks ago, we sent her the
I'm so excited.
gist of it, and I didn't even have a name yet. So we just knew what the main characters look like, and there's an ongoing shtick in the book about this object. So we sent it to her. 2 days later, this cover comes back. I'm like, perfect. She's like, "Okay, I can't have hit it out of the park 3 times in a row." I'm like, totally. Like, she just gets it. And she's, my God, the girl is talented.
Insanely talented. It's amazing.
Talented. And then I said to her, "I will also want something on the back cover this time." And she drew exactly what we wanted on the back cover. And then I said, "I've decided on this. It's either this title or this title." And she put the titles in, and we all went, "Nope, it's got to be the second title. The first title just doesn't work." So within 3 days, we had the cover, the artwork decided, almost blurted out the name of the book. The title done.
I would edit it out for you, but I would selfishly keep it for myself because I want to know any and all spoilers that you could give.
And she's amazing because she's an artist. She drew all sorts of boards for us with the right colors, so we'd be keeping in the same color spectrum. She's just, if you ever decide to go that route, that cartoonish,
Yes.
I would recommend her 1,000 times over.
I have to look into it. I dabbled in the character art, the graphics, just for my 2 past books, and I'm about to get them back shortly. But I've been thinking about it for an actual, not just for promotional purposes. And so if I do, I'll definitely reach out.
A dream to work with.
Oh, and that's what you want too.
Yes.
You want people who are excited about the project and bring this are excited to work with you too.
Well, yes, and she's just said to Karen, like, it's just so amazing to give it to her and hear her enthusiasm come back and see it in her drawings. She was even going through the book saying, "This needs to be an overlay, this should be an art card." And I'm like, that's what I need, because I think every page needs to have an overlay now. So I need someone who can pick out the scenes that really talk to them. And it's funny because I had a list and her list almost matched mine.
That's
so
amazing.
I said to Karen, tell her just to go ahead and start her drawings because she's right on the money. So I'm very excited about the cover. I think it's in June with Waterhouse Press. The cover comes out in June and the book will come out in September.
That's so exciting. I'm so excited. Oh my goodness. You're an auto-buy author for me. I know. Anything you write, I'll read it. And I feel like there's many people who feel the same way about your writing. It's incredible. And the way you've evolved over time, from the contract to then My Favorite Boss, they're so vastly different, but the common denominator is that swoon-worthy, intense, character-driven, arc between the two. And how would you say you've evolved throughout your first book? What was it? Into the Storm was your first?
A little long-winded then. I thought the longer the book, the more value for the money for people, right? And if I keep saying I'm going to sit down with Into the Storm and pare it down a little, but I never seem to have time. I find writing rom-coms is a whole different ball game to writing something like The Contract. You have to be in a certain mind frame. You have to be open to the humor. I mean, let's face it, the favorite series, it's all slapstick, over the top. Nobody's going to be kidnapped to bake 50 cakes or 60 cakes,
We wish.
60 days. Yeah, we all wish. In a villa in Italy. No one's going to do that. And no one's going to hire someone who runs into them, and does the things that Magnolia does in the book. It worked. And the concept for the next book was another over-the-top idea I had that I said to Karen, if this happens and this happens, and then I had this whole scene that I just kept seeing that I needed to write down. And I said to her, that would work if this, and if I did this, and I wrote that book, the last favorite book. I think I wrote it in 32 days.
Wow.
Just under. It was
That's
like
amazing.
a month. And when I first started, I said to Karen, I'm not feeling it. And then suddenly they were so alive in my head. It was like this every single day. And I'd look at the end of the day, I'd be like, holy crap. Because I'm a really old-fashioned person. I know there's all these software things that, you can get that track your numbers and do all that for you. Yeah, I keep it on a little thing on where I want to be at the end of the day. So here I want to be at 18, I want to be at 22, and I was crossing them out every day saying, well, I'm 3 days ahead. And it just, once it started to flow, I couldn't stop it. And Matt would go to bed about our usual 11:30, and I'd stay up till 2:30 because
Wow.
the words were there. And if the words are there, as you know, when the words hit you, you write them until they stop.
Yeah.
And that could be 2,000 one day, that could be 5,000.
Absolutely.
So every day it was 4,000 to 5,000 words, and this is the longest my favorite book.
Oh, exciting.
Yes. So it's interesting, but I think I don't know how. I think I'm more open now to just. I'm not a. There's some people who write nothing but rock stars and who write nothing but small town and they do really well. I write what I'm thinking. I just finished writing 2 mafia books.
Really? I'm
Yes,
so excited.
Last year there was The Men of the Falls, and they handed it over to the Irish. So this is The Irishman. So this is the Irishman taking over their territory.
This is going to be good.
I just wrote those since in January and February. I went from mafia to really lighthearted, and now I'm about to start on a holiday book for the end of the year. So you never know what, like Karen says, I'm never in my lane. She figures that I'm going to be all contemporary romance, deep, intense, Richard type people. And then I write, Alexander Bain or Magnolia Myers. So I think I'm just more open to writing how I feel.
Right. You
When
go
I
with the
first
flow
started,
now.
I thought I had to stay. That was my lane, but that's not how I am. It's never been how I am. So I just write how I'm feeling, because otherwise, to me, the books don't work. The words are
Absolutely.
forced. And I think you can tell when an author
You can. I was
is
just about to
writing
say.
because they have to. So I just write what I feel, and I've also learned to be a little gentler with myself. And if the words aren't coming, it's okay to take a day off and go out with my husband or putter around the basement or do something until the words come back.
Do you shelve things? Do you shelve stories until the future, or do you kind of?
Well, this book, I think. Yes, this book, Breaking the Speed Limit, I started after Rev to the Max. I got 20,000 words in and nothing. I had nothing. And I'm like, oh, well, I'll give it a couple days. Nothing. So I think I started writing, I think that's when I did The Boss, actually. I just couldn't hear Stefano's words. So I thought, well, then Rev to the Max is going to be a one-off. Simple as that. And that's how it had been planned. Then Stefano started talking to me, and I shelved him for almost a year. It was a year before he came out, but then the whole series hit me. So then I was able to write the rest of the series. But I thought for sure that Rev to the Max was going to be a one-off.
I love that, because you were gentle with yourself, and you gave yourself grace, and then it came to you all at once.
Well, I tried. I wrote a couple chapters, and I put it aside, and then I went back and read them and went, this sounds terrible. My words are stilted. The sentences don't flow. The situation's not working. It's just, so I thought I'm just going to leave it. And then probably about 8 or 9 months later, I was going through my story file of, ideas, and I saw Stefano's name, and I thought, I started writing that. And I was reading it, and suddenly he was there. And I just picked it up and started writing. I didn't even tell Karen I was writing it until he was done.
Oh,
And then I sent
wow.
it to her. And she was like, when did you write this? And like the last couple months off and on, I was writing another book. And then in the evening, first change, I'd write 2 or 3 chapters of his book.
That's
So,
amazing.
Well, I don't know if I'd ever do that again. There's times, Stefano almost became mafia.
Isn't it funny how they're 1 degree away from being somebody else, and then you have that power over them. And even with the story I'm writing now, I think I'm like, oh, he would be like a good mafia MMC. And then I'm like, no, like you said, it's a spinoff from my first book, actually.
Right.
And it's funny because that wasn't even supposed to be a story. The one I'm writing right now, which is going to be my third book. Pretend for Me came out in November. I thought I was done with that world. My secondary characters did take on a life of their own, which some people loved, that they were like heavy into the story, and some people didn't love that. One of the characters, I was in the shower, came to me and was like, oh my God, this one needs a spin-off. I'm like feverishly voice messaging my editor. I'm like, oh my God, Charlie needs a spin-off. And then I'm giving her the whole rundown on like this whole idea of the scene that's in my head. I'm dripping wet. It's like, it's comical. It's like something out of a book. It's hysterical. And I'm like, no, I have to write this. Meanwhile, I'm writing and trying to finish my second book, Fall from Grace, which is coming out in May. And it's a small town romance where a socialite escapes to a small town in upstate New York after following a huge scandal. And she meets the local bartender, single dad. And so I'm finishing with that. And she's like, let's just finish this for now. And so now I'm working on Charlie.
Well, when I was in the shower, this is funny. Erin tells this story all the time. I was in the shower and I reached for the soap. And I had no plans on visiting Richard Van Ryan again. He'd had 3 books. I thought he was good. I'm reaching for the soap. And for some reason, on my arm, I saw a shirt sleeve with RVR on it, embroidered, because he always wore shirts with his initials. And I was like, I wonder what would happen if somebody saw that, and it brought back a memory. And then suddenly the addendum totally opened in my head, and I'm like, what if it's a child he didn't know about, and he finds out later in life that he has this child? What would that do to his world? What does that do to her world? How does Katie react? And I got out of the shower, dripping wet, and called Karen. And I said to her, I just had the most fabulous idea for a 4th book for the contract series. She's like, that's not on the schedule. I'm like, no, you gotta listen to this. So I told her the whole thing. And then she's like, what is that noise? I'm like, oh, it's the shower. She's like, you're in the shower? I said, well, I'm not right now. I have soap in my hair. I'm still soaped up. I said, but I had to tell you this. She's like, okay, just go and call me back. She says, it's a fabulous idea. So see, that's what happens when you're a writer. It hits you when you least expect it. Something, a smell or a vision. I was just reaching, and I don't know why I saw RVR's arm, but it just hit me, and then the book came out.
It's magical.
Yes, we actually wrote the book, and we were discussing what we were going to do with it and when we should release it. And my agent contacted me with an offer from Radish, who wanted the series on their sort of pick a chapter sort of thing.
Yes.
But they wanted a book exclusive to that series. And I'm like, isn't that funny? I just wrote a book. So I sent it to my agent, and she sent it to them. They signed it, and I think it was exclusive to them for 6 months. And in the 6 months they had the contract series, it had 15 million hits on it. So it was wildly successful there, and people just loved it. And then we released it out in the wild. So you never know when the right idea is going to hit you, and I think shower ideas are amazing.
Amazing. I'm so I'm shocked that we both had shower ideas. I love that. I feel seen, and because I feel like I'm like, oh my God, am I going nuts? And I'm no, I think this is normal. And because I really feel
the creative mind works.
Yeah,
you're relaxed,
I feel this like
you're in your zone. Yeah,
because I feel this deep need in my soul. I know I'm doing the right thing, and because you get the noise sometimes of, am I doing the right thing? And all the doubt creeps in, like we talked about before, and the 1-star reviews are in the back of my mind, and but then I get these moments and I'm like, no, I know deep in my soul this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
You have to trust your gut, because they're your characters.
Yes.
They're your words. You know them better than no one is ever going to know your characters as well as you do. That's something another author said to me early in my career, and it's true. No one's ever going to know what my characters think and feel better than I do, because they're mine.
Yes.
So when you have that idea, when someone's speaking to you, it's very organic and it's powerful. And if you're feeling it, you should write it. Because when you're writing it, then they feel what you feel.
They feel the magic. Yes, for sure. When you feel that magic in books, I feel like people are writing when they're in the right headspace, and that they're meant to be doing that. And that story was meant to come to life.
I'm excited to send my chapters to Karen, because she reads them as I go so that she can say to me, could you flesh this out? So she gets 2 or 3 chapters at a time. Otherwise, if I get too far ahead, then it's too far to fix too much. But when I'm excited and I know she's reading, and I'm like, have you read this? Have you read this part? She'll be like, shut up. Let me read. Or I know she's loving it when all my phone does is go bing, bing, because she's making little comments. And I always know that it's going to be good when I get things from my editor that says, this is a great line, or I just spit my Coke out, or something, When the people I trust get it, then I'm relaxed. If I get something back saying, this just doesn't work, then I know I have to trust them and reopen the document and go back in. Now, luckily, that doesn't happen very often.
Right.
On occasion.
But that's to be expected with how, like, the volume that you put out, and after a while, it's normal. I mean, I would be concerned if it didn't, right?
And I mean, there's times when I sit back and go, have I written this before? Like, you try and keep it fresh. You try and keep it new, but sometimes you're like, have I used that before? Is that a scenario I've done? So I also have a team. It's small too, but they've read all my books, and they laugh when I go into the group and say, have I done this? Or does anyone remember this happening? Or even, do you guys remember how old this character was? Because let's face it, 56 books, I tend to forget.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
I forget after one.
So, and they keep a Bible for me. So they're like 27 and they got married when they were 32 or something. So
that's helped. So good. That's such a good tip, because I was writing in my Excel. I have an Excel sheet with names that I've used, because I want to try and keep the names fresh. Yes. And I was like, did I use this name like as a very, very secondary character? And I'm like, I can't remember. And so then that sparked that whole journey of me writing the names down in an Excel sheet to try and keep it organized and dialed in.
You're doing a series, right?
I am. I'm going to do, I did Pretend for Me. Lie to Me will be coming out hopefully later in the year. And then I have one more to finish that series in mind.
So I keep just a simple Excel sheet. Again, some authors have these beautiful programs. I just keep an Excel sheet with the character names, their age, and what their points are in the other books, so that I try and remember.
This is a good tip. Yeah. I feel like this is a really great tip for other authors listening, because people are DMing me, asking me questions, and I'm like, I don't really have all the answers yet, but I will find them. And that's what really sparked this podcast starting as well. I want to, not only everybody, I think everyone has a story to tell, and I want to hear them all, but I'm just so curious, and I want to learn more. And I think that that's my nature, and I want to give people a platform to do so.
Well, the more books you write and the longer you're in this industry, you grow, right? So it's nice to be able to share a few tidbits.
Yes.
Of, things that I learned that I'd never do again, or things that, we've all had hard times, and we've all had books that don't do as well. So it's nice to be able to share that and maybe help someone who might be feeling the same thing and thinking, should I be doing this? I know imposter syndrome is huge in the author world, and it's so hard not to compare yourself to other people. Oh, why did she make top 100 and I didn't? Why did this happen and didn't happen to me? Why is this one getting a movie deal? I think my books are just as good. It's so easy to compare yourself, but everyone's journey is different.
I love that. That is so important to hear. I feel like I needed to hear that.
Well, yeah, I have it. Every book it's book, 56, whatever, 55. I'm as nervous now as when I released my first book. I'm as hopeful that it does as well. I'm hoping people like it. I'm upset if they don't. I get sad at the numbers, and then I get elated when suddenly there's a huge jump. It's a very hard thing to cope with at times, the ups and downs of being a writer. And it's a very isolating world, because you sit by yourself alone in a room most of the day talking to people who aren't there. And then you feel like you know them better than you know the people in your life, because you spend more time with them. The other day I said to Matt,
sometimes you like them better too.
Yes. I was like, oh, Jesse would love that. And he's like, who's Jesse? And I'm like, never mind.
That's so funny you say that, because I had the same problem happen where I forget what I was doing. I think it was grocery shopping. And I was thinking, someone asked me, oh, would you like something about my character? And I would be able to tell where all of my characters are in that this very moment if you asked me. And that sounds weird, but I would be able to, if you asked me what Cassie and Matthew are doing, I'd be able to tell you, or I'd be able to tell you with my current work in progress. Like, it's cool. It really is cool because
they're alive.
They're only alive in you too.
Yeah.
Until you release it into the world, and then they're everybody else's.
Yes. I like it when people are like, oh, he's mine. I was like, I hate to tell you, ladies, he really is mine because I created him. But I will share him.
Yes, you're borrowing. It's borrowing. It's like a library.
Yes, exactly. So,
do you have any rituals that you do or routines that you do to help get into the writing zone, since you do write so many books at such a a high volume?
I need total quiet when I write. I can't listen to music. I can't have distractions. So my husband recently retired, so that's been a little bit of an adjustment. But I need to sit. I have a chair back here that I write in. I need to get my water and my coffee and my computer and a handful. I'm addicted to candy canes. I don't know, a lot of people don't know that, but I'm totally addicted to candy canes. So I keep candy canes in my office.
That's so cool.
By the front door. I could probably just eat mints, but I really like candy canes. So, you know, the little tiny ones at Christmas?
Ooh, yes.
That always buys me a great big bucket. And then after Christmas tries to get another bucket when it goes on sale so that I have them all year.
That's so cute.
So I always keep a handful of candy canes beside me because I can suck on one when I'm contemplating, and otherwise I can crunch them. So I always have good breath. In fact, I see there's a new box of candy canes he must have found somewhere. So I just have to have those things, and then I just need quiet. And I do best if I start writing in the morning. I don't do as well. Add some words in the afternoon and the evening, but the morning when I first wake up and have had my coffee and go right to writing seems to be my best, most inspired time. And I don't know if it's because when I'm writing a book, I'm thinking about the characters all the time.
Me too.
And quite often, I have this machine that you put over your eyes and it heats, so it sort of soothes your eye, and it's about 20 minutes. So when I'm lying there at night after I get into bed and I've got this machine going, I think about what has to happen in the next chapters. So I think I get the ideas and they start to cook, and by the morning I'm raring to go to get them on the page.
It's like meditation almost, like a meditation. Yeah.
And I sort of get into those routines, and once I'm in the routine, I hate being taken out of it.
Me too. Oh, me too. Especially when you're in the zone, you have a good flow, and then something breaks you out of it.
Well, Matt walks in the door and says, I brought lunch.
And then you're like, there goes that.
Yep.
There goes that.
And I'm like, okay, I'm just in the middle. And like, where'd the words go? So I have to sort of save what I'm doing and go and spend a little time with him, and then try and get back into the zone.
It's like a bubble.
Yes. He sort of started to figure it out. When he first retired, I'd be in here, click, click, clicking away. And if I was using my desk instead of the chair, he'd ramble in and sit in the chair. And I'd be like, can I help you?
You're like,
he's like on his phone. Look. I'm like, couldn't you do that in the living room? Well, I just want to spend some time with you. So I'd shut my computer and he'd be like, oh, I just interrupted writing, didn't I?
This is so
I
cute.
try and finish every day by a certain time, and spend time with him, But I just need the same things around me every day, and I'm good. And if I'm short something, if I forget my coffee or I forget the mints, it's just not right. So
I feel like that's similar to my own. I like everything to be just so, and if anything's not, I feel I'm missing something. Which is funny because my first book was written in the middle of the night, I was postpartum, and I'm feeding my son, breastfeeding my son, and I'm feverishly writing on my phone in the dark. This is how 90% of it was. But now I find I need this and I need this. And I don't know if it's mental that I'm making this overly complicated for myself, or it's just evolving into something else.
It's your think tank, right?
Yes.
It's your little space. And that's... I never sit in that chair unless I'm writing. So I know when I sit down that's, my coffee's here, my water's here.
It signals to your brain, the same thing. I like
time.
that.
Yeah. And I have a little fireplace in the winter behind me that I turn on, and it's just a little electric fire, but it's cheerful and it's nice.
Yes, it sets the mood.
Yeah. And if I look up, I can see all my books and see all my covers on that wall. I don't know, can I see? There's all my covers on the wall.
Oh my gosh, that's so pretty.
And then,
My God, not a bad view.
no, all my books on the shelves. So if I need inspiration, I just sort of look up and there they are.
You're like, I did that.
But it's just, you need your own space and you need your own little, I guess, you just need your time.
Your comforts too.
Yes.
And to make time. Yes.
Yes. And the bottom line is, if you're not feeling it, then you get up and do something else. And it'll come back. Might take a year. might be an hour. It might be in the middle of lunch. I'll be like, holy shit, I know exactly what I need to do. And then I'm like, nah, nah, nah. And he's like, what's the hurry? I'm like, the words are here. So he knows. I mean, it's been 10 years. He knows.
Yes. And he's supportive, and that's so important because it seems like you're surrounded by such like great support system of people who want to only help you. I know from my own, I have my mom, and she's so supportive. She never reads, and she to go back to your point of like sending chapter by chapter, and then it's nice when people get excited over it. Yes. My mom never reads, and she read my first book, and like she was immersed in it. And I was like, this is somebody who she can't sit down for more than 2 seconds without, she's like the Energizer bunny. And so when she was like sitting and, oh, you only have to read a chapter, like I know this is hard for you, like to like sit still. But she kept sitting and just kept scrolling all, because I sent it to her on my phone, gave it to her on my phone, and she kept scrolling. I'm like, you might have something here.
Now, are you excited when people personally read your book, or are you nervous?
No, not. You know what? I'm really not nervous about it, because I think I get more nervous when I read it. I'm like, was it good? Or when my editor does, because I know she's going to tell me like the brutal, honest truth, and I know that I'm going to have a lot of like things to like work on. But I think that's exciting. That's the exciting part of it. It's I only want to get better. I only want to grow, and I want to do this. I want to write 56 books. So I have to, take the criticism, and I have to just keep honing in on my craft. And when I say I'm like hungry for it, I am like very hungry for like that success.
Yes. And the difference between your first book and your 10th book will be big, and your 10th and your 20th. The more you write, the more you learn, and the more the book world evolves, even how books are written. Even from first to second book, you probably notice the difference.
For sure. And first to third, now I'm writing my third, and things are so much clearer. And I'm just like, wow, like this is what my editor was talking about that I should have done for Jennifer.
Well, yes. And a good editor will teach you.
Yes, she teaches me.
Last
night she sent me about 10 articles on certain things that I need to work on.
Well, Lisa's given up. I forget. She'll be like, Melanie, this is a dummy subject. I'll be like, fix it. That's what I pay you for. She's like, well, I just wanted you to know. I said, I think there's a dummy subject in every book. I'm never going to learn. So give that up. Just fix it. Or she'll say, this is a, there's a great big long one. This is a blah, blah, blah. And I'll be like, you've explained this 50 times. And I still don't know what it means.
This sounds like me. I'm laughing because this sounds exactly like a conversation I have with her every day.
And I'm like, so just fix it. And I said, if I was perfect at all this, Lisa, you wouldn't have a job. Well, it's true.
That's so adorable. I have like literally 10 articles about, and I'm like, okay, got it.
Well, she'll send me, I'll say, I don't understand this. So she'll send me an article, which only confuses me even more, because I'm like, I don't know a third of what they've just said. I don't understand any of it.
Yeah, I need the Cliff Notes version of the article.
Yes. So I'm like, okay, I won't do it. Maybe. I probably
I'll try. You're trying. We're trying, we're the creatives.
Well, that's it. I create it. I put commas anywhere I want. If it sounds like it should have a comma, if my character seems to pause, it gets a comma. If that's wrong, you fix it.
I love that. Now, what would you say your marketing strategy is? Because I feel like your brand, you can like identify it very well. And for indie authors, like starting out, what would you say was something helpful that you did on a marketing standpoint?
Hired Karen.
If your brand is so cohesive.
She does all the marketing. I count my lucky stars the day I reached out to her and said, would you like to read the contract?
Aw.
because she read Over the Fence and loved it and sent me a little note saying how much she loved it. And I said, thank you. And we chatted a couple times. And then I wrote the contract, and I didn't know if I should publish it because I was...
Wow, you were hesitating?
Oh, totally. I said to my friend, who's going to read a book about an asshole like this guy? And she said to me, women love assholes if you can redeem them. And I was like, I wrote it, and I was so unsure about it. So a friend of mine said, well, you know a few bloggers and stuff. Quietly ask if they would read it and give you their honest opinion. So I reached out to Karen and a couple other people, and for about 4 days, all I got were constant DMs from Karen saying, oh my God, this man is making me stabby. Oh my God, what an asshole. And I'm like, see, I'm so glad I didn't publish this. And then she's like, when is this coming out? And I said, I want to put it out in a couple months, but I don't know if anybody will read it. And she said, you're crazy. You're crazy if you don't publish this. So I sent it to a PR lady, and she read it and said, absolutely, and let me handle the PR for you. Now, 10 years ago, I hired her, and I think she was $200 and something. And I did a post, and she taught me how to boost the post. And that was my entire extent of marketing on that book. It was all word of mouth. She got it in the hands of the right bloggers. I mean, as you know, nowadays you spend thousands of dollars on advertising just to be seen. Back then, it was one boosted post and bloggers talking.
That's incredible. That is incredible. The product was good. That people saw that, and that's, oh my God, it's amazing. It really is.
I was absolutely shocked. The end of the first day, and Amazon used to update their numbers hourly.
Oh.
Like every single hour, you got an update.
Wow.
And I was watching the numbers climb, and I said to my husband, I think there's a glitch because I've never sold that many books. Ever.
Oh, you thought it was a glitch? That's so cute.
I totally thought it was a glitch. And when we went to bed that night, I said to him, well, I'm sure by the morning the numbers will have resettled and we'll see what happens. And I got up in the next morning and I said to Matthew, they're like way higher than when we went to bed. And then they grew 3 and 4 times that day. And I was like, what's going on? I don't understand. And I phoned my PR lady and I was like, is something wrong with Amazon? She's like, no, Melanie, people love this book.
Oh my
gosh. I was like, okay. All right. And it was on wide, so it was on Barnes and Noble and all that. And I used to sell, I mean, my first 3 books, my goal was every year Matt and I could go on a little holiday with the money I made in a year. And I'd be thrilled. And I mean little holiday, like a weekend. So this book had, blown them out of the water. And Barnes and Noble, I was used to $50 or $60 a month. Matt said to me, have you checked Barnes and Noble? And I'm like, no. I said, I'm sure it's not much different. So I bring up the numbers. I'm like, okay, there's obviously a mistake here too. And Matt's like, why? I said, because it says they've sold 3,000 books in 2 days. I said, I haven't sold 3,000 books in 3 years.
Oh my God.
And he said to me, I think you need to accept that this book is very successful. And I was like, okay, well, I'm sure it'll die in a day or two. And I mean, I was on USA Today for 8 weeks and New York Times, like so unexpected. But try and replicate that now. Like the market is saturated. Back then, there was probably 50% less, if not more, authors and books. And now it's, as you know.
Now, would you say it's oversaturated, or you think
I think in many ways it is.
Really?
I'm hoping that's going to fall off so that the people who write for the love of the craft and the love of words stay.
Right.
Because there's some incredibly talented authors in the indie.
There really are. It's
very. You build your readership, you build your following, and then they'll follow you. And that's what you want.
I love that. That's such good advice.
Well, we all need advice at times.
My final question for you is, if your life was a book, what chapter would we call this one?
I would call this the epilogue.
The epilogue. I like that.
I'd call it the gentle years, maybe. We've worked so hard all our lives to get to this point where my husband doesn't have to work. I can just do what I love. I get the chance to talk to people like you and talk to my readers. And it fills my cup, fills my heart, right? There's not so much. The stress of trying to get to this point is done. So things are much calmer, much easier. I might be old, but I'm sort of enjoying the calm that comes with it. I've worked hard for what I have, and now I get to enjoy it.
56 books. You definitely have.
It's really nice just to be able to do what you love, right? And not have to worry about, I don't even worry about the numbers and the competition out there. That's not why I'm doing this. I could retire with Matthew now, but I still love this. I love the process. I love finding the words and getting them together, and then watching Karen come up with a fabulous cover that, holds them all, and then seeing the formatting and going to signings to meet the readers and being able to talk to people who say, something in one of my books changed their life or helped them through something. That just means more than I could possibly express, because I never thought I'd have that sort of influence or outreach.
And you definitely do. When I tell you I have reread some of your books over and over again in some very dark times, you could check my Kindle.
I'll take your word for it. And I thank you for doing that.
You're a dream to have on, and I could talk to you for hours, and I love your work, and I cannot wait to see what is next. Where can everybody find you if they don't already follow you?
www.melaniemoreland.com, or I have a Facebook group called Melanie's Minions, or I'm on, oh God, Karen's got me everywhere, Instagram and TikTok. I call it Tiki Talk.
Oh, I like that. That's so cute.
And just under Melanie Moreland or Moreland Melanie, whichever was available. But I'm on Facebook in my group a lot, and we do a ton of giveaways. Karen, there's games every week with giveaways,
Yes.
and Karen loves, I don't know where she stores all the swag she has, but when I see the packages that get sent on, I'm like, holy crap, that's a nice package. Yeah, and that's all we do. We talk about books, we talk about fun stuff. I post.
It's lighthearted.
It's just a really nice group. It's very positive and loving.
Very positive. That's the word. Exactly. Yes. I feel like that's your whole brand, is positivity and just redemption. And
Well, there's enough darkness in the world. We don't need it
absolutely.
here.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on, and
Thank you.
keep writing, because I will keep buying them. Thanks for listening to Storytelling with Stephanie. If you liked today's episode, be sure to follow, leave a quick review, and share it with a friend. I'll be back next week with more stories. Until then, keep living your truth and rewriting your own story.